Well, good morning, Pharmacist Ben. How are you today?
Well, good morning for you in Australia. Good afternoon for us Americanos.
Yes,
Nice to
yeah,
see you.
yes. And
I
we're here
missed your.
today to get
I
your
missed your.
insights. Sorry?
Sorry, go ahead. I said I missed
Yeah.
your Australian background.
Oh, well, I've got water in my background today
Yeah. Oh, well, of course. We're talking
because
about water.
that's it.
Yummy. Mm.
There you go. So we're
So
looking
let me
forward
ask
to
you.
hearing.
Water's amazing stuff. First of all, just drinking water first thing in the morning will give you energy. A lot of times when people eat, they really want to drink. And if you drink, sometimes when you feel like you're hungry, you're not hungry anymore. You also want to drink water with your meals, despite what people tell you. You know, you hear this idea that water dilutes juices. No, not the case. Water spreads the juices around your foods, so the acid and the enzymes can spread and saturate the food that's in your stomach. Water will also fill you up a little bit, so you won't eat as much. Water will make it easier for the food to turn into a soupy mass called chyme. Much of the food that we eat today is dehydrated, or not intentionally dehydrated, but it lacks water, and it's dry, so it doesn't form that soupy mass. There's so many reasons why you want to drink water with your meals, drink water first thing in the morning, and drink water throughout the day. However, one of the problems with drinking water, or a lot of water, is you're going to flush out your nutrients, which is why your water-soluble nutrients, that is vitamin C, the B complex, and the electrolytes, and that's why you want Beyond Tangy Tangerine in your water. When you drink Beyond Tangy Tangerine in your water, not only do you get electrolytes and B vitamins, but if you put your Beyond Tangy Tangerine in water and then spin it in a vortex, like in a blender, or I like a Vitamix, you'll actually structure and organize the water molecules around the electrolytes. And that forms a really interesting type of water called structured water, also known as coherent water. And as it turns out, in the body, most of the water is in this form. And this is why I was teasing you a little bit yesterday night. I said, how is it that we're 60 to 70% water, but we're not like puddles sloshing around the sidewalk or walking up and down the stairs? It's because the water is locked into place. It's called bound water. And this binding is a reaction that takes place between electrolytes and collagen and water that locks the water into place and structures it so that all the water in the body, or the majority of the water in the body, is in this structured form that allows it to be what's called a superconductor. It's very interesting. A superconductor is a substance that conducts energy without loss. You know, usually when you have a wire and you conduct electricity through the wire, you get loss, and you can measure that as heat. A superconductor conducts energy with no loss. That's the term superconduction. And superconduction is super high-tech physics. Well, in the body, the water acts like the structured water, which is the water that's integrated with these electrolytes from Beyond Tangy Tangerine and other sources, and the collagen forms a single unit. So all of these water molecules are like one solid, and that allows it to conduct energy very, very efficiently, and it makes the body a super efficient energy conductor. So this water that's trapped in the connective tissue, the collagen, and the electrolytes is structured and it's coherent. And as we age, our water loses its coherency, partially because we don't have enough electrolytes, partially because we're not making enough connective tissue, and this decoherent, or water that lacks coherence, is sloppy. And this is one of the reasons why, as we age, we become sloppy. I call it, I was teasing a couple days ago, we blobify. We turn into blobs. You know, when you're young, you look at a body, a kid's body or a teenager's body, and if they're healthy, these days a lot of kids aren't healthy, but if they're healthy, they're very angular and structured and narrow and lean. As we age, you're kind of blobby. You're not as structured, and that is partially due to the decoherence of the water in the body. A couple ways you can protect against this phenomena. One is to make sure you're getting enough electrolytes, Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Another is that you're making sure you're building your connective tissue. It's very important. In fact, we should do a video on the importance of connective tissue one of these days. Connective tissue is collagen and elastin and hyaluronic acid, and as the name implies, it connects things. And as the connective tissue deteriorates, the water becomes less structured and decoherentizes. I'm not sure what the word is. It becomes decoherent. And this is one of the reasons why we blobify. So making sure you're building your connective tissue, using electrolytes, and ingesting structured water is a great way to keep yourself youthful longer, not just internally, but also in your skin. One of the reasons why our skin loses its elasticity and structure is because of this decoherence that the water in the skin exhibits as we age. Also, I should tell you that dry skin is partially caused by a lack of structured water. And this is why when you hear people say, oh, I got dry skin, other skincare professionals say, make sure you're drinking your water, it doesn't help. Have you ever heard of anybody had their dry skin disappear by drinking more water? No, it never happens, because the dry skin is not caused by a lack of water, but by a lack of structured water. And again, that structuring is the end result of a reaction between the water molecules and connective tissue. As we age, our collagen and connective tissue deteriorates. So does our structured water. The best way to get structured water, well, one way you can do it is by spinning in a vortex with electrolytes. And that's why I always tell people to use a blender when you're making your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, because not only will you get the electrolytes and the water-soluble nutrients that you lose when you urinate, but you'll also be structuring your water. Another great way to get structured water in your system is to eat fruits and vegetables. The water in fruits and veggies is structured. And if you're enjoying your fruits and vegetables as much as you should, or using fruit juices, you got to be a little bit careful with fruit juices and veggie juices, because number one, fruit juices have sugar. And also, when you're making your vegetable juice over time, it will lose its structure as it's sitting on your counter. So you got to make sure that you're using your vegetable juices fresh. And you don't want to do too much fruit juices, because even though the water is structured, they're very high in fructose and sugar. And this is not it's not really good for the body to be ingesting too much sugar and too much fructose. So vegetable juices are a great way to make sure you're getting structured water. You can also buy structured water, but I'm not so sure about how effective those are. You know, Longevity has not exactly a structured water. It's called a Quanta water. My friend Fred Van Loo makes it. He calls it Quanta water, E-water, and that's a coherent water, according to Fred. And it actually he puts it into a special machine that creates a coherency in the water. It turns out that structured water and coherent water are much more hydrating for cells. And in fact, the water inside of a cell is largely structured water, or organized or coherent water. So structured water tends to be, in addition to being a more functional water for the tissues, is actually a more functional and important and hydrating water for the cells itself. So the best water going is going to be structured water, whether you buy it, whether you make it, whether you're using it in fruits and vegetable juices. There are other forms of water, of course. Before I tell you some of the good forms, I'll tell you what the worst form is. And of course, that's tap water. You want to stay far away from tap water. Not only is tap water chlorinated, which is very harsh on the microbiome. Chlorine is a pro-aging molecule. Fluoride is a pro-aging molecule. It has effects for the brain. It has harmful effects on the brain. It's also a very powerful oxidizing agent. Both chlorine and fluoride are powerful oxidizing agents. And tap water also has lots of chemicals and industrial chemicals, and even pollutants like fecal material. Yes, fecal material. Trace amounts, nonetheless, they're there. And if you go on the EPA's website, you'll see all the different allowable amounts of fecal material and other contaminants that the FDA says is okay to have in your water. I don't think it's ever okay to have any fecal material in your water. Nonetheless, you can only do so much when it comes to purifying tap water. And then, of course, you have the chlorine and the fluoride. There's also drugs in measurable amounts of drugs in tap water, hormones in tap water. And every time you urinate, it goes into the water supply, and yeah, they filter it and they clean it, but they don't, number one, they don't filter it entirely and clean it entirely. And number two, sometimes the chemicals they use to purify the water create more toxic compounds. They poison or they potentize some of the toxins that are in the water. So really, tap water is not a good idea. If you had no choice, obviously, and you need to hydrate tap water, you got to do what you got to do, but it's best avoided. Distilled water is good, and it's clean. It doesn't have minerals, but you can get your minerals in other places. Probably the best two types of water are going to be reverse osmosis water, which filters the water. And Aquafina here in the United States, I'm sure you have Aquafina where you're at. That's a reverse osmosis water. And then probably the best water, theoretically, I say theoretically because spring water is the best water, but we don't really know these days what's in the water table and what's in the springs. So you don't really know about your spring water, but theoretically, spring water is also structured. It also contains minerals because as it's percolating in the springs, it's creating a vortex, and that has an organizing effect on the water. So all things being equal, and the water table being clean and the water being clean, spring water is probably your best choice. Reverse osmosis second, distilled water third, and the worst kind of water is going to be tap water. Structured water, either structuring it yourself in a vortex with your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, or using vegetable juices, which are ideal because, of course, you don't only get the structured water, but you also get all the nutrients from the vegetables. Fruit juices are okay too. Make sure they're fresh. Try to limit the amount of fruit juice you use because it's got a lot of sugar and there's no fiber. So all that sugar is going to go right into your bloodstream through your intestine. And we all know the problems with metabolic syndrome and fructose and sugar in the body. So you got to be a little bit careful with fruits. But vegetable juices, structuring the water yourself, and spring water are probably your three best ways to get water into your system.
So, Ben, I've heard that you need to take a little bit of good quality sea salt to be able to adequately hold the water in your cells.
Adequately what?
Well, so that the water just doesn't pass through and, do.
Sea salt is definitely good because it provides minerals. It does change the taste a little bit, so you may have a problem there, but you will add minerals. But even better than sea salt is this stuff right here, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, which has the same minerals that you'll get in sea salt, except they're plant-derived minerals in addition to the ionic minerals, which sea salts are ionic minerals. Plus, of course, you get all the other wonderful nutrients, the vitamins and the phytonutrients, the amino acids in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. So, yeah, sea salt, if you're in a pinch, no pun intended, a little pinch of sea salt can help. But if you want to put something in your water, Beyond Tangy Tangerine is the best thing to do. And then spin it around in a vortex, create structured water. You get all the nutrients from your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. You counteract the nutrient loss or the water-soluble nutrient loss that occurs when you urinate out your water. You counteract that with Beyond Tangy Tangerine. That's probably the best way to go. Adding some BTT, spin around a vortex, drink it down.
Is it possible to be drinking too much water?
Theoretically, but you got to force yourself. But theoretically, if you drink too much water, you'll dilute your electrolytes and you can suffer from a condition called hyponatremia, low concentrations of sodium, or hypokalemia, low concentrations of potassium. And both of those can be fatal. In fact, here in the United States, several times in the 90s, it hasn't happened in a long time that I've heard of, but in the 90s, there were kids who were doing drugs that made them drink a lot of water. These drugs caused them to be really, really thirsty, and they were drinking a lot of water, and they actually died from drinking too much water by diluting their electrolytes at these rave parties. And it was kind of a big thing here in Boulder, Colorado. I haven't heard of that occurring recently. That was back in the 90s. So yes, you can theoretically drink too much water if you do it all at once, but it's not the water that's the problem as much as it is the dilution of the electrolytes that are in your blood that's caused by the water, the excessive ingestion of water. But you really got to go crazy to do that. You got to drink a lot of water, and you got to drink it really, really fast. So you almost have to force yourself to do that. Other than that, no, you can't drink. Drinking too much water is not a thing. A couple things about that, though. Water is very important for pain issues. A lot of times people get back pain and joint pain because of contraction of tissues. Drinking water will expand those tissues. So drinking water has pain relieving properties. Also, thirst is not necessarily a great indicator of the need for water. By the time you're thirsty, you're really deficient in water. So don't wait till you're thirsty. Just kind of make it a habit to drink a couple of glasses of water every hour or every 2 hours to make sure your body stays hydrated. Again, it's not going to be perfectly hydrated if you don't have enough connective tissue and enough electrolytes. So make sure that you're doing electrolytes, and also make sure that you're building your connective tissue by using your Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, making sure you're exercising. Even things like rolfing and massage can stimulate the growth of connective tissue. Connective tissue is piezoelectric, which means it generates an electrical charge as it's pressed. So things like massage and body work and rolfing can actually improve the growth of connective tissue, via this piezoelectric effect.
Great. So is there any like signs or symptoms that a person might get to alert them that they're going overboard with their water?
Oh, to go overboard. There's some
Yeah.
signs that deficiencies in water. Fatigue is one of the classic signs of not enough water. Also, pain, joint pain, back pain can be a sign of dehydration. Drinking too much water is not a thing, as I say, unless you're like ridiculous about your water intake and you drink a gallon of water in 10 minutes or something like that, which obviously, you got to go out of your way to do. If you're just drinking a normal amount of water, even a lot of water, drinking too much water is not really a thing. You got to drink a lot of water in a very short period of time. So you got to intentionally dilute your electrolytes and intentionally drink too much water in order to create a problem. Other than that, it's very difficult to drink too much water.
So one of the signs of blood sugar imbalances is getting thirsty.
Yes,
thirsty.
that's a good point. That's a very good point. When you have diabetes, you have dysglycemia, really messed up blood sugar, your blood is concentrated, and that's what causes the concentration of sugar to be high. So your blood sugar concentration is elevated when the blood is concentrated, when it's thick. And first thing in the morning is the most common time. And diabetics who test themselves will notice that their blood sugar concentration is higher first thing in the morning. Drinking water first thing in the morning will dilute your blood sugar. So all diabetics should be drinking 2 or 3 glasses of water first thing in the morning. If you drink cold water, that has an energizing effect, by the way, first thing in the morning. Warm water has a calming effect. Drink cold water first thing in the morning, you'll get energized. You'll dilute the blood, so you get more blood flow to your brain. You have more cognitive abilities, more energy, and you'll also dilute your blood sugar. Along the same lines, if you're diabetic and you eat, you fall off the wagon and you eat a bunch of bread or pasta or rice or sweets or whatever it is, you go to a Christmas party, drinking water will help dilute your blood sugar. So that's a great strategy to minimize some of the negative effects of excess ingestion of sugar if you fall off the sugar wagon, as they say. Water can be extremely beneficial for folks who are dealing with blood sugar issues. Water is also very important for the kidneys, and drinking water can help improve blood perfusion to the kidneys. So drinking water has multiple benefits for the brain, for the joints, for the blood sugar system, for the kidneys, for the skin, for the connective tissue. It improves the superconductivity of water. Stay away from tap water. Best to choose either structured water from fruits and vegetables, especially important when you're eating your meals. Spring water is the best water if the springs are clean. Otherwise, reverse osmosis water or distilled water are the cleanest, best forms of water that you could drink next to the structured water and the spring water.
Okay, I've also heard that drinking cold water can speed up your metabolic rate and therefore help with weight loss.
Help with weight loss, help give you energy, absolutely, because when you drink cold water, your body has to generate energy to warm the water. And that generation of energy will burn calories. And so, yes, it's got a great metabolic, it can act like a metabolic stimulant. It can help you lose weight, give you energy. On the other hand, warm water has a calming effect on the body. And so a lot of Ayurvedic practitioners will suggest warm water for calming the body, cold water for stimulating the body.
Great. That's it. Well, I haven't got any more questions here. So
right.
at this point,
well, thank you so much. Look for
Yep.
Fred Van Loo's Quanta Water. You longevity folks, try Fred Van Loo's Quanta Water. It's really kind of interesting. He's got a proprietary method for making the water coherent. I've tried to get him to tell me what that proprietary method is. He won't divulge it, but I can tell you that when you muscle test with Fred's e-water or Quanta Water, he calls it, the muscle testing really verifies the superiority of his water over ordinary tap water or even Dasani or Aquafina water, which is reverse osmosis water. His
Put a
water
QR
is
code.
based on
Put a QR code up on the screen so that people can scan that and go through and have a look at the product.
There you go.
Yeah, it's up there on the screen for everyone that's interested. All good. Can you see that, Ben?
I see it. Thank you so
Yes.
much. That's awesome.
Yes.
I had the pleasure of hanging out with Fred at his barbecue. He does a barbecue every year for longevity and folks. I hung out with him this weekend, and I got to sample his Quanta Water, and the stuff is tasty as you wouldn't believe. So tasty. And then he did some muscle testing with me. I was drinking a bottle of Dasani or Aquafina or one of the waters I got at the airport. And he said, "What are you drinking that for?" And he gave me some Quanta water, and we muscle tested it. And it was pretty amazing how the difference in muscle testing between Fred's Quanta water or E-water and the Dasani that I was drinking.
And he's got these little drops.
Yep,
and
that's right.
he says put it topically on your skin about every hour.
Yeah.
And watch, everything start to improve in your body.
Yeah, that reminds me something, actually, now that you mention it. It's a good idea to get a shower filter, because when you take a shower, you're exposing your body head to toe, obviously, you're in the shower, with chlorine, chlorinated water, and fluoride. And because the shower, if you're taking a hot shower, which most of us do, your pores are going to be open, and that chlorine in the water and the fluoride in the water are going to have access to the deeper tissues in your skin, and ultimately, if you do it long enough, even into your blood. And it's even worse if you're taking a warm bath. So water filters applied to your shower or to the faucet in your bathtub can be very helpful for folks who want absolutely everything as far as keeping their bodies healthy. Think of a shower filter or a faucet filter for your bathtub when you're bathing or when you're showering. It can minimize your interaction with fluoride.
We've got a shower filter that not only extracts the chlorine and other chemicals, but it adds vitamin C.
I was about to say, you took the words out of my mouth. Vitamin C neutralizes chlorine and fluoride. So if you are exposed to chlorine and fluoride from drinking with tap water, make sure you're using your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, which contains nutrients, not just vitamin C, but also plant-derived minerals that have a chelating property and can help protect you from the untoward effects of both chlorine and fluoride.
Great. Okay. Well, I think we've covered a lot of topics here.
A lot of stuff. Thank you so much, Michelle, for everything you're doing.